Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to talk about Tim Scott, and I want to talk about disaster movies, and I want to talk about the critical difference between favorite and best. All right, let's jump into this. So I want to talk again about Tim Scott, and I will tell you right now, I want to say a huge thank you to you guys, because it seems wild because I make so many videos. I have a model for creating videos that is really unique, and it allows me to make videos much faster than many of my competitors, right? Like for political commentary. And, you know, and something can happen yesterday and I could talk about it today, which is great. It's like so wonderful and awesome. And but one of the part of that is I don't edit. I don't traditionally edit. I actually do edit. So I don't edit any of my videos. I don't traditionally edit any of my videos. So I want to just say this real quick. Like, I cut it, it goes up. Or, this is critical. This is really critical to understand. It doesn't go up. And I want to tell you right now, you guys don't see easily 5 to 15% of all videos I cut, you never see, right? So like, and it's for lots of, there's different things that would cause a video for me to not post it up. You know, basically most people get very passionate about, politics, and so do I. And so sometimes a video, I won't put it up just because I'm a little, my emotions are too close to the surface, right? So that's a big one. I work on it and I'm careful about it. It's an issue, right? Because I am passionate about this, and there's a very thin line between passion and emotion, right? And I'm not like, and the other thing is I really care about this stuff, right? Like some CNN talking head, they don't care about what they're talking about. They're paid to talk about it, right? I'm talking to you, and I'm not paid a dime. I've never been paid a dime. Not a single dime has ever been made on this channel. I'm very proud of it, and it allows me to speak independently, right? And I think the minute I start making money on this, it will be different, right? So I'm very blessed about that. So it's really fascinating. So what really fascinates me is, so I don't want to lose this minute, right? As Vivek Ramaswamy hurdles toward being the first Indian American president of the United States, we having the first having the first tech set he will legit, okay? Make no mistake, Vivek Ramaswamy will be the first person, the first U.S. president to be tech savvy. He'll be the first U.S. president who knows what a terabyte is, right, without looking it up, right? I can tell you right now, there's never been a president ever who knows what a terabyte is. No way, right? Like, and so there's going to be, you know, so as we hurdle here, I want to take a minute to talk about Tim Scott, right? Because he dropped out, and it is galling. It is so offensive, right? So offensive that it is offensive that Chris Christie is in the race while Tim Scott is not. It is just horribly offensive. And so here's what I want to explain to you now. I want to explain to you that Vivek Ramaswamy is the best 2024 U.S. presidential candidate, but Tim Scott was my favorite 2024 U.S. presidential candidate. And I want to talk about why this is important, and I want to talk about the distinction. All right. I am a huge disaster movie fan. And I will say right now, and you're like, well, Scott, what's it matter what movies you like? It matters. We're like, we're talking about politics, baby. And if you're and first of all, I think, you know what? You guys are incredibly, I so appreciate that you guys come here and listen. And the reason why is I do think I'm ahead of the curve, right? Like Peter Zeihan, I listen to him every day because he's ahead of the curve. What I need you to know is that American politics are American entertainment. There is far more, like, you need to understand, if you want to know about American politics lives in Hollywood. It does not live in Washington, D.C. And this is what we need to start understanding is there's far more American politics in Hollywood, on the big screen, on the small screen, than ever has been in Washington, D.C., right? Well, actually, that has been in Washington, D.C. since 1955. In 1955, color televisions arrived, and it changed everything. It changed everything. Like, you know, we flew in 1903. We were on the moon in 1969. The television has changed everything, right? And the big screen even more so, right? But the big screen is more important than the small screen, but the big screen actually doesn't function without the small screen, because advertising is what sends millions of people to watch the big screen. All right, so I am a huge fan of disaster movies. And if you're a political wonk like me, if you care about politics, if you're keeping your nose to ground and you're saying, hey, I'm going to understand politics at a level that's higher than the average American, and trust and believe, if you're here, you understand politics far better than the average American. And I'm not some neophyte. I have a degree in political science, right? And I've studied it my entire life, U.S. politics, right? And so here's the issue. So disaster movies are highly important for political wonks. And the reason why is they contain our fear. They show us what we're afraid of. And they also explore solutions to those fears and to fixing problems that we run into, right? Very, very important, right? So let's get all the way there. My favorite disaster movie in the whole world, I watch it twice a year, right, is Twister. I watch it over and over and over again. I've probably seen it 20 or 30 times, right? And I just love it. It is my favorite disaster movie. And Bill Paxton, and he's fantastic in the film. But the real reason I love the movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman. He is he's an incredibly talented actor, and and I think I always loved that movie, and I liked seeing him in it. But after he died and we learned what was happening in his life, that performance is even more precious to me, right? The other thing is, it's just a baller, amazing action and thriller movie, right? Like, it is full on a disaster movie, right? But it perfectly includes elements of action and thriller, right? And it just has tremendous, absolutely tremendous aspects in the film. It's got great 80s stars. It's just so good. And I love seeing the, tractor trailers being swept up by, tornadoes. And I love seeing the cows being swept up by the tornadoes. And there's just so much I love about that film. The other thing is, get this, and this goes back to it's a Southern film, right? It's hot. It has elements of, and actually I should say, it's a heartland film. And I consider the South to be very close to the heartland, right? Heartland of America, American values, Americans' conservatism, American faith, right? It's just a good old, American film. I love it so much, okay? And it is an amazing disaster movie. However, let's talk about 2012. 2012 with John Cusack and Amanda Peet, okay? With Donald Glover, right, as the president. With, who else is in there? Oh, there's so many others. I think it's not Nathan Lane, is it? No, I think it's somebody else. There's a lot of excellent people in 2012. It's extremely well cast, but 2012 is the best disaster movie ever made, bar none. And the reason why is it shows disaster at a level that no other disaster movie shows disaster at, right? And you're like, well, what about Armageddon and what about Deep Impact? Those are great films, but Armageddon is more like it looks like a cartoon, right? Whereas when I watched 2012, it's very believable. Oh my gosh, Woody Harrelson in 2012, right? In 2012, that movie rocks. It is incredible, right? And then also the twist in 2012. I'm not going to apologize for spoiling a movie that's 22 years old. I'm sorry. I'm not going to spoil. That's over a decade But the fact that that everybody's being saved in arcs and not spaceships, it's an amazing twist. John Cusack spends the movie driving these incredible, almost like, you know, Days of Thunder race routes through all this, you know, through buildings and earth that's being shattered and all these things. Plane flights here and there. Sasha and, you know, the Russian billionaire and his horrible sons, and it's and a beautiful depiction of divorce, right? Like, what's a beautiful depiction of divorce? Well, the second husband gets ground into gears and dies. There you go. Like that's the way it should work, right? Like, it's just like, hey, if you marry some other dude's wife, you should get ground through the gears, man. Like, I'm like, wow, that's, you know, because Hollywood constantly shows divorce, but I feel like usually celebrates it and says, of course, great people get divorced. No, you broke the biggest value ever made. You communicated to everybody in your life that you cannot be trusted because the person you love the most, you lied to their face and broke the biggest promise you ever made to them, right? Like, and so like 2012 is an amazing film with incredible lessons, right? And it's really amazing. It is fantastic, right? But it's not just a good disaster movie. It is the best there's ever been, right? But I only watch 2012 every 2 years, right? Like, I don't watch it twice a year like Twister, okay? Here's the kicker, all right? Tim Scott was my favorite candidate in the 2024 U.S. presidential race, okay? And it is a crying shame that he is out. Why was he my favorite? Christian. I believe he's a Christian, okay? Second, super intelligent. Third, civil. He kept a civil tongue in his mouth, right? He was polite and nice and kind and good, right? And Tim Scott truly was the epic template of American statesman. He loved this country with a burning passion, and you could see it in every speech. He was my favorite candidate. I never once even considered voting for him. Why? Right? You don't vote for your favorite, you vote for the best. The best. Right? So why is Vivek Ramaswamy 10 times better than Tim Scott, who's my favorite? He was my favorite candidate in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Here's why. Tech savvy, super young, right? Like able to jump over microphone wires, right? And we need and get this, Vivek Ramaswamy is the cure to the sarcophagus candidate, right? Our country is playing with lit fireworks in its fingers and not letting go, right? This idea of 80-year-old presidents is sheer outlandish ridiculousness. It is outrageously dangerous, right? We are begging for a coffin candidate. We are begging for a coffin president, right? Has it even happened? I think it happened once, like in the 1800s, right? We are begging to have coffin presidents rather than competent presidents. This is not a debatable subject anymore, okay? Not debatable, right? We just watched Dianne Feinstein die. Everybody in this country saw her get sit and signed every day, right? Like, they put her down. They said, hey, glad you could make it to work. We know you are a centimeter from your death. Just nod and sign the papers. No more sit and sign candidates. And we need to shock the nation and say, hey, what about a 38-year-old president? What about somebody who reads every word put in front of them because they don't have nap time at 2 p.m., right? Because they're actually capable of living through the 4 years they've been elected, right? The idea that Donald Trump, or President Donald Trump, or President Biden will live through 4 years of the highest pressure job ever is an unprecedented, outrageously reckless experiment that there is no proof it could possibly work. It has never been done before, ever, right? And it is not needed. We are running an experiment. The idea that President Donald Trump and President Joseph Biden are, should be trusted with this material is absurd. We need to handle this, right? So the reality is, he is everything these candidates are not, and he can win. He can win. Tim Scott never had a chance of winning, and it's terrible. It should not be this way. I think it was his southernness that made him unelectable. Yankees, if you sound like a southerner, we want to buy barbecue from you. We definitely want to go on a horseback ride with you. But the reality is, I don't think the Yankee culture has an appreciation of southernness as we should, right? And I just think, and he was a fantastic candidate, but I think he was completely unelectable. And one of the reasons too is, completely incorrectly, Yankees consider Southerners' pace of life slow. We're like, you guys are sipping, tea on a porch somewhere, and you guys just don't do, you don't hustle away, right? And it's wrong. It's complete inaccuracy. But when you get to national politics, these things lock in. And I think it would have been a serious problem. Vivek Ramaswamy is the best candidate by far on both sides to win the 2024 U.S. presidential election. But I did want to take a minute and just speak truth. I love Tim Scott's run. I love that he is an American. He's an American champion, man. That is a true statesman. And he is my favorite. Vivek is the best, but Tim Scott was my favorite. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.